on track, you feel me? I'm about to get paid for it. Sermon of the day. You right where you supposed to be, baby. Informants informant, that information forming. Important you get a portion of fortune pouring. Confession, fortunately, blessings on now they snoring. You mellow, so focused on scoring. Got you underperforming. I never expect something, never assume nothing. Judging me for my past, but that's why I'm triumphant. I don't demand, I know where I stand like engineer hands. Watch how my life pans. Cut that game plan. Show out like a jotter. Pop out like a cutter. Telling the quick rock, skipping the course, he squares like hopscotch. This gonna be my mood to my beat drop. Putting my boogie shoes in my diddy boots. Ain't no stop. I'ma make the rest of my life live. Yeah, I'ma make the rest of my life live. Gonna make the rest of my life the best of my life. Yeah, I'ma make the rest of my life live. I'ma make the rest of my life live. Gonna make the rest of my life the best of my life. Congratulations on the celebration. I know I'm dope without a need of a validation. No congratulations on no celebration. I know I'm dope without a need of a validation. Yeah. If having hope is dangerous, call me evil Knievel. You leading on the wrong side, living with pens and needles. So lethal, made Shane Black wanna write a sequel. Cause I snuggle my dreams till it's seen as illegal. And I still probably will, cause I can never give up. I got my goals calling me, how could I never pick up? Either we make up or just break up. With a snake hits, get the rake up. Yeah, selfish, I'ma cake up. If I don't shake me to wake up. Let my depression catapult me to succession. Shine a light on my imperfections like a projection. Every struggle and lesson, your issues ain't your oppression. Never got a question, keep pushing me to progression like I'ma make the rest of my life live. Yeah, I'ma make the rest of my life live. Gonna make the rest of my life the best of my life. Yeah, I'ma make the rest of my life live.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. That's my song, y'all. That shifts my whole mood. I'm gonna make the rest of my life the best of my. Say what now? Listen, cut it out. If you ain't lived yet, just keep waiting. Keep living. But whatever you do, make the rest of your life. I don't know what happened in the past, but make the rest of your life the best of your life. I'm excited now. See, that got me all wound up. And now I'm excited. So good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Bravo with Sheila Network. Hey, Bravo Nation. How y'all doing out there today? I hope you all had an amazing day. As always, I want to thank you for joining us here as we invite you to unpack and relax on tonight. We're not here to convict nor convince. This is a judgment-free zone, but we're here to have real conversation with real resolutions. And I am your Thursday night host, Lady Dawn B, and it is a pleasure to be here with you. Thank you for spending these 60 minutes with me. I do appreciate it, and I'm excited that you decided to spend the next 60 minutes with me. Ma, you got to mute your mic or turn it down. Welcome, welcome. So, Bravo Nation, you know how we do. Let's hit those triplets, that like, subscribe, and that share button so that we can do what, as Pastor Sheila says, is what? Free 99. That's right. Cost you nothing. Help us spread some joy. And as always, we pause to salute the queen herself. Bravo to Pastor Sheila for gracefully yielding the captain's chair on Thursday night. We are coming to have a good time. So if you haven't done it yet, invite a friend, grab a snack, pull up a chair, and let's get ready to chat. I'm ready. So let's go. Let's go. Welcome to our wonderful Bravette Ane. We see you. We see you. Thank you for always showing up and chiming in and being a part of the program. We love you so much. And we cannot forget our brave brothers as Bravo Nation, Von Eric. Salute to you, Brother Von Eric. So faithful. We got some faithful people here, and we're so grateful for the faithful. And to those who are in the silent seats, we see you, we love you, and we appreciate you too. Thank you for coming. If you don't say a word, hit the subscribe button. Pass it on, like it, and share. Come on, bring some more of your silent friends. They are always welcome here. So on tonight, I want to thank you guys for joining us. As you see, I am not by myself. I have some good company. They might become a permanent part of this Bravo squad. I don't know. We're going to keep it going and moving. And we have to do it, Michelle. Do it, Michelle. She is no stranger. She is becoming a familiar face and voice here on this platform. She is none other than my North Carolina sister, the distinguished Toastmaster, Michelle Roach. Come on, say hello to the people, Michelle.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening.
Good evening. She don't be fooled, y'all. She's not this quiet, okay? She's trying to be distinguished right now. So we're gonna let her rest in her distinguished.
Hey, Lady B. Mm.
It's a good night. It's a good night. It's a good night. And you all know her. You love her. You've seen her. She's amazing. She is the wisdom and the voice of reason that happens here. We see you. Oh, hold on. I'm sorry. I got distracted. You know who she is. She is in the person of Pastor Rosa, aka Mama Rosa. Um, she is the reason why I am here. I move, I live, and have my being outside of God. So she is biologically my mother. She is spiritually my mama. And I get to share her with all of you. So let's welcome Pastor Rosa to the platform tonight. Hey, Mom.
Good evening, everyone.
Did you unmute?
I did.
Okay. All right. Well, welcome. And we see in the chat, welcome, Three Kings. Salute to you, Commander Chris, for being in the house on tonight. We're looking forward to having a great discussion. And again, I want to thank you all for tapping in, tuning in, and joining us on tonight. Now, on tonight, and I'm sorry, y'all forgive me. I'm having some hair malfunctions, but we're gonna let it be what it is. Life is happening on the other side of the room here. But on tonight, we are going to talk about for the next little while. Put my preacher voice on for the next little while. If you would turn with me to the book, in the good book. Tonight, we're gonna talk about um, preference versus prejudice. What is guiding our choices? Now, this topic came up because um, as we go through, I'm in different on Clubhouse. We go through different rooms that we share in different conversations, and we were talking about relationships. And really, the premise of it came from the aspect of relationships, male female relationships. But as I thought about it, it spills over into so many other areas of our lives outside of romantic relationships. And that is simply people who are fussing and complaining and upset and frustrated, saying, oh, they can't find this one. This one doesn't qualify. That one doesn't quantify. There's no good men. There's no good women. But yet there's a whole bunch of good people on this earth. So if that's the case, why is everybody walking around only the lonely? Well, part of it is because something has been ingrained in us that is guiding our choices, and it's limiting our options to being open to exploring, to discovering, and to experiencing so many other things. So many, we have to come out of, everybody talking about coming out of their comfort zone. These are trending words, and triggering things. Come out of your comfort zone. You're not going to grow if you stay in your comfort zone. Oh, the dark skinned brothers are mad because they feel like they get the, short end of the stick because nobody wants this one. They want the pretty boys. And the big girls, such as myself, they complain anybody over size 6, well, if you're not fit, and all these other things. These are things that we have not really explored because we already have some type of influence that discourages us from going to find out for ourselves. So, on tonight, we want to discuss a little bit. Maybe we can get some insight, some dialogue going, start opening up and expanding our minds because we all want better. But for us, for the single people, and for those who are stuck in a space, we need to consider the fact that maybe the reason why we are stuck in the space, or the reason why we're stuck where we are, is because we are exercising our choices through prejudice based on someone else's experience or influence. And it's not a preference because we haven't even explored the options to find out what we prefer. So I want to open up and leave way for Michelle. Come share. What are your thoughts on what's been said so far on this topic of prejudice versus preference? What do you think? I think you're on mute, Michelle.
That's a first, for me to be on mute. But I think you hit the nail on the head, and I say that because again, it's our preferences as on a personal level. For
Mm-hmm.
example, you were speaking of +6, and I'm plus, the minus sign. I had to throw that out there. Okay.
I'm sure there's prejudice and preference on your side too. I'm sure.
But again, it's our circle. We talked about that last week as far as our circle. And as you said, when we were raised up, the friends, again, the connections that we made, our comfort level. I may be more comfortable with Susie versus Dawn. So again, it's our preferences, but it's also, I'm going to say day and age that we grew up in as well.
Mm-hmm.
But that comfort level allows us to be more open as to our preferences.
True. And I agree with that. And something that you said, is really so key, um, which is the fact that you mentioned comfort and our comfort levels. But what if okay, what we're comfortable with now, we had to learn at some point. It wasn't comfortable. At some point, we didn't have that knowledge to make that choice. At some point, we had to be open. And as I said, come out of your comfort zone in order to explore, learn, and dig into what this, find out for yourself what this is really about. And some of us have become comfortable in our space, but we're complaining about not having what we want. So in those cases, you know, I question again at the root of it, what is guiding your choice? What is causing you, what is blocking you from coming out of where you are to try something else, to find what it is that you're looking for or that you're needing, and a lot of times it is because some influence has been placed on our lives, and we don't want to, we're not willing to try it because somebody else tried it and didn't like it. So we're living off of their experience. And in my opinion, when you're living off of someone else's experience, you can't say that that's what you prefer because you haven't tried it.
That's
You
true.
know, what say you, Mom? Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry, Michelle.
No, let's listen to him. Mama Rosa.
No. What say you, Mother Rosa?
Okay. Can you hear me?
Can you
Can
hear
you
me?
hear me?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Um,
Um,
I
I
think
think
it's
it's
respect
respect
for
for
whoever.
whoever,
We
we
assume
assume that it's
a
a
parent,
parent,
that
that
teaches
teaches
the
the
person
person
from a
from a
child.
child,
Like
like
we
we'd
say,
say
hatred
hatred
and
and
prejudice
prejudice
is
is
taught.
taught.
So
So
it's
if
that
that
person
person
of
of
authority,
authority,
whichever
whichever
be
be
your
your
parent.
parent,
I think a
I
lot
think
of
a lot of
times
times
it's
it's
fear
fear
that
that
that's to
as to
why we
why we
stay
stay
in it.
in it.
And
And
I
I
think
think
like
like
you've
you've
been
been
taught
taught
it
it
so
so
much,
much,
and
and
you
you
buy it
buy it
that
that
you
you're
really
really
you're
you're
really
really
afraid to
afraid to
come
come
out of
out of
it,
it,
to
to
trust,
trust,
another
another
view
view
or
or
whatever.
whatever.
It's
It's
what you
what you
know,
know,
and
and
whether
whether
you're
you're
right or
right or
wrong,
wrong,
you're
you're
willing
willing
to,
to
just continue
continue
with that.
with
So
that.
I
So I
think
think
it's
it's
preference.
preference.
It's
It's
really
really
preference.
preference.
Muted myself. I'm sorry, y'all muted my own self. Well, thank you for sharing that, Mom. And I get that. I see you, Michelle. Don't start. Now, I understand. Okay, thank you. And yes, you did hear an echo in it. That was my fault because I thought I muted myself and I did not. Um, so that was me. We got it together now, I think. Um, but I appreciate your share, Mom, because like you said, we don't always, we may assume or believe that it is a parent or someone who has taught us, in in a place of prejudice, and in saying that it's a point of preference, but how do we get to know what we prefer if we don't explore all the options? Our parents introduce us to certain things that they feel are good for us. But as we get older, or teachers, not just parents, we have many influences as we go throughout the day. Truthfully speaking, they say, a child's friends are more influential on them, than their parents are, because they spend more time outside of the home. And children tend to follow the leader, instead of making a choice on their own. They'll go with the crowd. And we grow up sometimes, maybe not in experiencing it in that same way, but we grow up sometimes with that mentality that we are now continuing, because now we're conditioned to just going along with whatever someone else says, the person that we respect the most, or the person who is, leading the pack. But when it comes to a preference, I believe we have to explore the options before we can really decide what we prefer. You know, um, Michelle, you wanted to share something before a minute ago.
Oh no, I was just really excited about, Mother Rosa speaking.
Oh, all right. Okay. Well, as we continue on in this about preference and prejudice, and if you would, in the comment section, feel free. I'm sorry. Feel free to share what you feel or what you think. What guides your choices? Are you led more by a preference, or do you think that you are led by a prejudice? Now, I went to look up um, the definitions, because I'm a word girl, just so that we can all be on the same page and give maybe a little mainstream line, mainstream the conversation. Preference is defined as a greater liking for one alternative over another, or over others. So it's a greater liking, something that you like more than something else. But how can we say I like this if I haven't tried that? If I just keep eating this, if I keep on eating oranges, I can't say that I like oranges more than I like apples. I have nothing to compare it to. Correct? Yes? No? What are your thoughts?
Well, I think it depends on it depends on the individual. Like I have four kids, and two are very different from the other two. And you have two that will try. The older two, the older the older son and the older girl, they were, they've risked their lives a lot, because they were determined that they were going to do what they wanted to do. They didn't really care what anybody said. One, the daughter, she really didn't care what you said. She honestly didn't. But my son, he was respectful. He'd do whatever outside. When he came inside, when he came in the house, it was different. So um, he kind of kept things away from us as to what he was doing outside. So, you kind of, call that respect. My daughter, on the other hand, like I said, she didn't really care. You know, um, like I said, they risked their lives for a long time. But it's preference. It's really it's preference. If you, and I have to say, from the personal perspective, it's respect, because I was born and raised in the South. It's always going to be a part of me, and we were raised to be respectful. So if our parents told us don't do certain things, we were adamant about not doing what that this is what we were taught. Because respect and honor is a part of being, raised in the South. And I mean, it's a lifetime thing. So it depends on what that person regards as valuable. I mean, honestly, it's that is a choice. That person that is already a choice. I'm not going to do this, even if my peers are saying to me, do this, whereas something or other else, you might do, so it is a preference. You have made that choice, not so much so a prejudice as it is so, very strongly a preference to me.
No, that was good, Mom. I'm sorry. We seem to be buffering a little bit, so y'all bear with us. It's just what's happening. Life is life right now. But no, that was good, Mom. And just so you know, my daughter, she wasn't meaning me. It wasn't me. Not at all. It was not me. The other daughter, the other one. We have some comments I want to read. Three Kings says people pass down prejudices and they are in place until we develop our own preferences. And I do believe that's true. And again, and it's a really fine line. It's a really fine line if you think about it, because our prejudices sometimes are based on our experience or our lack thereof. We have experienced prejudice in all types of ways throughout our life, and because we want to protect those whom we love, especially when it comes to our children or our siblings, if we've experienced something, we tend to not want anyone else to have to go through what we went through. So we are passing down our experience to them, which sometimes can be prejudice. And they says preference for me because it's based on an actual thing I have experienced. Exactly. You can make a preference, I believe, when you have experienced something yourself, and being able to experience it yourself leads me to believe that you have opened yourself up to other options. When it comes to preference, when you prefer something, you have to have that experience of one thing to another. If I only eat vanilla ice cream, I cannot say it's my favorite. It's all I know. Now, I do happen to like vanilla ice cream because you could add as many things to it and make it anything that you want it to be. So, in my opinion, it's the greatest. But I've also, Michelle said it, but I've also tried other things. It's just what I prefer. Three Kings also says our parents lived experiences and shared their preferences, in quotations, prejudices, again, very fine line, and they remain until we explore the world for ourselves. And that is true. That is true. And sometimes we don't even realize that we have a prejudice. Sometimes we don't know that we are biased to a particular thing. Three Kings says preferences can't be established until clarity is shined on previous excuse me. Preferences can't be established until clarity is shined on previous prejudices. That is true. I feel like Mother Rose wants to say something.
That is true. Until you know the difference between until you know the difference, till you've experienced both of them, you really cannot make a decision as to which one you're gonna do. That's very true.
Right. So, and thank you, Renee. So with that in mind, again, we're making choices a lot of times thinking that it's our preference, but truthfully, there's some things we won't even try. There's things you could think. I'm sure we all have something that we were taught, or something that we were like, we told, oh no, don't touch that, or oh no, don't do that. Oh no, you're not gonna like that. And we never did. And we never did. So we limited our options and we stick to what we know. Again, that comfort place. And we say, no, this is what I prefer. But how do you know? Because you have not experienced it yourself. Now, a prejudice is a preconceived opinion that is not based on reason or actual experience. So we have been influenced by prejudices of someone else's preference, And then we think that it is our preference, when again, truly, it's not, because we have not experienced it for ourselves. Our taste buds and us. That you follow me? What you say, Michelle? Are you frozen?
Well, first, about that vanilla ice cream, don't put anything on the vanilla. Okay, just leave it alone. And that's that's my preference.
Vanilla was made for toppings. Okay,
Well, I just
made for
think,
toppings.
okay, a great example for me is a roller coaster. Nope, not getting on the roller coaster. But it's a terrific nope, not getting on the roller coaster. But come on, you nope, not getting on the roller coaster. I've never experienced the roller coaster, but my fear would not allow me to get on the roller coaster. So sometimes we put ourselves in those situations, like you were stating. And that could be in relationships. How you interact with that particular person. Again, it goes back to from being a child to now being a grown up with 2 children, 5 grandchildren. But again, my personal
Okay.
experience was based around my circle. Who I hung out
Mm-hmm.
with, like you said, like Mother Rosa said, your mother and father said, hey, you don't do this, you don't go over there, set that standard. But once you stepped outside the door, you said, okay, here's a good time for me to find out why they don't want me to go over there. They don't want me to go. And then when I go back home, no, I haven't been over there today. No, I didn't say Billy Bob, today. That curiosity sets in at some point. Again, you can't speak to something if you haven't tried something. So again, I know if my parents were here today, they'll let you know, yes, like Mother Rosa spoke on. I'm one of those that said, yeah, see you all later. I'll be back. And curiosity set in. So
Lord Jesus.
now my
And
father
she,
had a
and she's
deadline,
still, and she's still.
but my father had a deadline. You had to be in by midnight or you were in serious trouble. So 1 minute after midnight, well, we all knew what was going to come to us, and it was definitely not our preference. So again, our circle, our experiences at home when we grow up, when we finally leave home and venture out into living in different areas, different environments, things of that nature. And again, like you said, it's our preference.
But it becomes preference after. Okay, I'm sorry. Mom wants to jump in. I just want to sidebar on something that you said. You brought up the point of fear, like with the roller coaster. The fear of the experience. Now you had never been on one. Now I'll tell you right now, I'm with you now. I'm we're on opposite sides with the vanilla ice cream, and Danae seems to be on your side. But I'm gonna love y'all anyway. I'm gonna love y'all anyhow. Um, and they said that the vanilla bean Haagen Dazs is the best with nothing. Nussin. She meant that. She said that with her chest, nothing added. Okay, I'm just saying, but vanilla it's meant to be. It's meant for toppings. I'm just saying. But as talked about the fear is something that also it binds us, it restricts us, it causes us not to move forward or not to want to experience certain things. See, you have a partner, Michelle. You got to. It's 2 for 1. It's okay. Again, vanilla is meant for toppings, y'all. For those who don't know, that's why it's plain. Um, and I don't like roller coasters. I can honestly say my preference is not to take that journey. I can say that because as a child, I don't think I don't know if my mother, well, they didn't teach us to fear things. They taught us to proceed with caution and be wise. But my father, being the crazy person that he was, if you said you was afraid of something, he's gonna make you face your fear. So he made me get, I would never forget it. And to this day, I promise you, if we ever go to an amusement park, we'll go to Great Adventures in New Jersey, the only roller coaster you're going to get me on is the runaway train. Okay? Now, the runaway train is about a 5 minute roller coaster ride. It is so close to the ground, you think you're in a car. It has maybe two turns and three spins, and that's it. That's all. It can't do no more. Don't get me in the little cart thingy that goes across the top from one side of the park to the. I will walk. I don't do it. I'm not. It's not happening. But I can say that that's my preference because my father took me and my brothers and sisters on the biggest roller coaster that there was the very first time. And I'm the youngest and I was the smallest back then. Tiny little thing to be strapped in 6 times. Okay. It was not fun for me. They were screaming for one reason. I was screaming for a whole nother. I think I saw Jesus that day and that's why I believe in God. But it was the fear of what was going to happen that caused me to decide this was not for me. So mine was not a prejudice. Mine is an absolute preference because I experienced that. So I understand where you're coming from, and fear is something that again, fear blocks us from experiencing things. So it affects the preferences that we have. And I think in that case, it's just really bottom line. Like I prefer not to experience, I prefer to be afraid rather than experience whatever it is, but fear is another, these are the things that we're thinking that we're making choices based on our preference. But again, if fear is blocking us from trying the experience, then we don't really know whether what we're doing is really a preference. In a sense, it's a choice, it's our preference right now. And this is not, again, it's there's no wrong. Everybody's experience is their experience. um but in order to prefer, we have to experience, unless you choose not to, as Michelle has. So you wanted to I want to yield to mom, Pastor Rosie.
Right. Well, I mean, it's either you either have constraints or you have chaos. You make your choice, whichever whichever one. You know, in my house, in our house, um, you were saying about the fear and the preference, and I'm remembering, um, Dawn never got a beating in her entire life. She came close twice. No, she didn't. Don't no, she not one time. She came very close. No, her father did one time because she went to the dentist and kicked the dentist or whatever, stuff like that, you know. But as far as her behavior in the house, she she had three crazy older siblings, and when she saw the result of their choices, she said, I don't want none of that. I don't want any of that. So that was a preference that she made for herself for the whole entire time growing up. So I thought about what when you said, if we never veer from this, how do we know? Well, you never veered from being afraid of of being punished. And then like you said, your father really was an insane person. So, sometimes, when we see other people, when you see the results in other people's lives, you be like, no, I don't want none of that, So it's still it's preference.
Now that is a true story. That is an absolute true story. Everything she said is true. I've gotten two beatings, one from each parent. My mother chased me down the hallway with a paddle one day. Yeah, and my brother halfway saved my life, but we won't talk about that. I'm still traumatized. And and no, I wasn't one that I didn't have to. Once it might be a prejudice. It might have been I was prejudiced because I was living off someone else's experiences and I didn't want that result. So yes, I will completely be prejudiced against getting a beating. Yes, I was. Yes, I was. Absolutely. I did not like the end result and I didn't want that. Their behaviors guided my choices. There it is. Sure did. Kept me. The consequence, no, their behaviors. I know one time my sister was getting the beating. My father was, and I was just trying to get out the room. I really was. I was trying to save my save my own life, and somehow I got caught up in the mix. and my father and my hand got tore up with the belt. I thought I was dying, and I remember it was just my hand, but I remember the pain that I felt, and I said, "No, I will not." I said, and that was just one hit. God forbid, no, not for me. So I preferred to rest in the prejudice of her experience and not become a part of that. I didn't want that for my life, but again, when we think about really what's guiding our choices, sometimes we have to really. I find myself at a place at a crossroad, and I'm pretty sure we've all been there at one point or another, or you will get there at some, at different intervals. That we have. I'm at a crossroad where I'm trying to figure out um, the things that are limiting me from moving forward in certain spaces. Where is that coming from? Because if I have a desire to do something that's innate in me, what is on top of that? What is the block that's causing me from not moving? What is happening? And then I have to think back to what's making me doubt it, what's making me not want to pursue it, what's making me feel that this isn't good for me. And a lot of times I've found, as I've been just taking my time to reflect, it's usually because someone else's voice, someone else's opinion, as Michelle was saying earlier, and as we yield back to last week about our circle. It's usually because someone else has shared their experience that now has left a negative view on us. So we don't want to pursue that. Not all the time, but some of the times. So I have to really sit back and try to unlearn a lot of the things that we have learned in trusting people who maybe that was their experience. Maybe their experience wasn't good, but I don't know what you added to that experience that made it not good. But yet I'm holding on to you sharing your experience and saying, I don't want to do that. And I'm limiting myself from experiencing it myself. And that to me is a prejudice because it's based on a preconceived opinion, not my own opinion, but someone else's opinion or someone else's experience. And it doesn't mean that we can't um, take in what other people's lives, journeys, whatever their experiences are, but we have to take that in and then pull from it what we need and then experience it for ourselves. Maybe you won't experience it the same way, you know.
Mm.
Mom, you wanna? Okay, mom is humming over here.
You know, the what sticks in my mind is after Adam and Eve fell, and God spoke to each one of them. The serpent, Eve, and then Adam, and He said to Adam, "Your," he chastised Adam because he said, "You listen to the voice of your wife and not mine." You know, and so that whole scenario to me in what you're saying is the same thing. you know you know what's in you. What's in you. Like I'm going through being in school. I know what's in me. What's pushing me right now is that I know what's in me, because when I'm looking at all of this homework that I have to do, and I'm like, why did I ever do this? But what's pushing me is that I know that I could do it. It's a lot. But when your voice is the strongest, well, the second strongest voice in your life. See, I know what God said to me. That takes precedence over my fear to do what I my preference to do. Do I want to be up doing this here? No. I'd rather be doing something else. But because I know what's in me, and I know what I have to do, and then not only that, it is who profits from me doing what I have to do. There are people out there that are being neglected because the gift that we have, or our presence somewhere, the anointing on our lives, the purpose of our lives is missing and someone's not being fed properly and somebody else is, feeding that person some sort, something that's not fulfilling, when yet you have what they need, and then you think about all of that, it's the bigger picture is not ourselves. The bigger picture is the other side of our purpose, like when Jesus was on the cross, he saw all of those that were going to come to God because of, him dying on the cross. It's not always comfortable, but there's something beyond comfort, and that's purpose. You have to push, into that purpose. And yes, you have always been that way, and I want to tell this little um story. Yes. um when she was in, I can't remember the grade that she in. Dawn is a very smart a very, very smart lady. And she was, I think, in fourth grade. And the teacher called me in and she said, Miss Brathwaite, Dawn is an A student, but she refuses to be an A student. She will settle for being the B. And why? Is it that we are afraid of success? Are we afraid of failure? But we will fail. We're going to fail anyway. It's the experience. When you experience the failure, then we know, okay, I'm a little closer to success, you know. But it's those risks that we have to take in life. But and then the final thing is looking where I'm at now, for not doing what I should have done when I should have done it. And I close my.
Thank you for that share, Mom. And yes, I have always been. I do remember that it was fourth grade, and um, it came from a place of probably fear at the time and expectation. Something that you mentioned about you with school, and the work that is um, the weighted work of getting your doctorate. Um, and how, yes, it's a lot, and we all have to face whatever these challenges are that we go through. um, that can be a lot, but if you listen to someone else's opinion and let that be what stops you, then again we're limiting ourselves and never getting the experience, and we are always going to be we always going to end up at the curb instead of crossing the street. um, it really speaks to capacity. Everyone's capacity is different. What may be difficult for you might be easy for me. What might be difficult for me may be easy for Michelle. So, in our choices and in the voices that we're listening to that are guiding us, again, as we spoke before and as we reflected on last week, our circle makes a difference, because again, that's who influences us the most, and we pass along our different experiences, and sometimes our passion behind them is really adamant. So we're very convincing, but we have to be able to extract from a person's experience maybe the points, and then use what we've learned to navigate our own experience, but don't take their experience and never have your own experience. Michelle, you want to jump in?
Well, while you were speaking, I was thinking, preference or prejudice can relate to relationships as well. Because you had mentioned earlier
Mm-hmm.
at the start of the show when we was talking about, I'm going to be, I was called a little skinny mini. Okay. I wasn't the, 38, I was a little skinny mini. All right. And then you got, like you were saying earlier, we have our dark skinned brothers versus our light skinned brothers and things of that nature. I'm
Mm-hmm.
4 and I'm looking up at 6'1", things like that that we put. Yes, let's keep it real. Because again, when we go into relationships, we have a preference. Sometimes we step back and say, "Oh no!" Before we even know that person, or
Right.
listening to my girlfriend said, "No, you don't want to talk to him. No, you don't want to talk to." And again, it goes back to your circle. I'm thinking that, hey, you know a reason why I shouldn't be over here having a conversation, so I'm going to trust you versus me going over and getting to know that person for myself and
Mm-hmm.
making that decision on, for myself.
No, and that's true because that's really what it's about. It's really about it is really about how these things affect our relationships and the relationships that we're having and who's in our circle and what's in our circle and why is our circle not expanding and we stay stuck. Yeah, maybe the light-skinned girl had a bad experience with the dark-skinned brother, but guess what? I don't know what you brought to the table
That's right.
that made him respond to you that way. We all want and need different things, so we have to be very careful that we are not passing our prejudice down, to other people, even as we're sharing our experiences. Yeah, some people will never date. I know I don't qualify for some people's, preference list, and I'm like, I'm all right with that. But guess what? I promise you, you missing out on a whole vibe right here for sure, for sure.
But
Just like
that goes when you say you don't know till you know. But
there
still,
you go.
as Mother Rosa stated, it's a matter of respect. It's a
Hmm.
matter of respect for whoever that person is. You just don't be rude or, just step back from the person. Oh, Susie said or Timmy said. No, regardless, you have to respect that person, regardless of what your friend said, or regardless until you get to know that person, be it regardless of the relationship. Like she said, it's a matter of respect. It's a
Hmm.
matter of respect for my parents who taught me you don't go over here, you don't, run across the street when, it says, stop, take off running when you see the red, when you should be, I've had, a couple of conversations about that, but still,
Yeah.
I made a choice that when I decided to have children, I wasn't going to act as though, I was the perfect mother. No, I didn't do anything like that, because I know Three Kings has a little bit, he'll probably make a comment about that. But still, I wanted them to know that, hey, yes, I had my day. I had
You
my
still
day.
having your day.
And I could always say, I could always go back home. They didn't shut the door on me. So thank God for that.
You made it. You made it that far. Okay.
But again, it's a matter of respect for where you from, where you from your parents, from your relationships with your siblings, relationships outside of family. It's a matter of respect, and also ownership, taking ownership, accountability for those decisions that you make.
Right. And point of accountability, we do have to be accountable for the decisions we make, for the people that we allow to guide us. One thing I say is that you have to learn how to trust your own voice. You have to learn how to trust your voice because again, everybody's experience is not the same. You can like what you like, but make sure, like I with my son, I try to make sure that I don't pass down to him, and I'm not perfect, but I make a conscious effort that I try not to pass down to him, my issues. I will share experiences with him and say, listen, this is what I experienced. This is what you should look out for. And then you go apply it to your life because when you get into a situation, you may respond differently because how you're made up versus how I may respond. Somebody may have patience, somebody may have tolerance. I'm not sure which one I have, but one I know I don't. So how I respond to something is very different. And they said, okay, now, listen, I'm just saying, but it comes down now some and again getting I'm gonna backtrack a little bit, getting into relationship because it is about at the end of the day, this is about us expanding our circle. This is about us opening up ourselves and stop creating limitations. Now, I'm not saying open the floodgates and just go hog wild. I'm not saying that. You get, but open yourself up to the possibilities of other things as opposed to resting on someone else's experience, um, of what they had or what they did. You can take that experience and pull from it what you need. Um, I know there's a few things like one man's trash is another man's treasure. What do you have to chew the meat and spit out the bone? Take from other people's experiences what you need and get rid of the rest, but don't let it bind you to the point where you are not willing to at least try something beyond the norm or what you think your norm may be. Like I said, we a lot of people who are out here talking relationships and saying they're frustrated. Like I said in the beginning, oh, there's no good men, there's no good women. This is why we're still single, and you have all these lists of things, and you don't want this kind, you don't want that kind. Well, how do you know if you've never tried it? There's an amazing person that is waiting for you that may be outside of the category that you have been taught, is not attractive, or you've been taught is not valuable. If we were blind, one thing I think from the pandemic, and one thing you say on Clubhouse often when we're in the room, is that one of the great things about it in your Clubhouse is just that you don't see a person, you only hear their voice. And so you get to know a person for who they are without the preset prefixes, and you don't have to pretend to be anything that you're not. You get to experience people, you get to learn them, you get to pick up on their personality, their characters, and there are no limits, so that you're really getting to the core of a person. And you wouldn't even know if some of the people that become your best friend, your cut up buddy on Clubhouse, probably if you met them in person would be the total opposite of what you would normally look for or go for. But because we've listened to other people's opinions, we've already decided that this person isn't for me, or this package isn't for me, oh, the skinny mini girl isn't for me, because she's too this. Well, she might be that. But guess what? Inside that skinny mini package is power packed with every kind of thing that you could possibly want and need.
Excuse me, could you leave the skinny minis alone? Okay.
I, I was using the terminology that you used. There's no preference, no prejudice over here. Listen, I'm team thicker than the Snicker. Okay, we already know this. All right, I'll be team plus size forever. But I'm holding it down for the big girls all day long. Okay, because we y'all gonna learn today. All right, you could be prejudiced. I'm about busting them prejudices down. All
Okay,
right,
Snickers bar. Okay,
huh?
Snickers. Okay, Snickers bar.
Hey, it's chocolate.
You'll hear
It's
that one
caramel.
again.
But it's really about opening yourself up, thinking about and Pastor Sheila refers sometimes about and if you've never tuned in there, you need to, because she refers to how we're wired. And I don't want to misquote, but that it's amazing, we're all wired differently. And so you are who you are. I can't be Michelle. Michelle can't be mom. Mom can't be me. And what may work for one may not work for another. So I may be limiting myself because I'm going off of Michelle's experience. Now, her experience is her truth and it is her preference, but her experience has not become my prejudice because I haven't even tried it for me. We have to, these are the things that I'm saying that we have to think about. What is guiding my decision? What is causing me to make this choice? And then a lot of times we make choices, or we won't make a choice. We won't step out of our box because of the fear, as you mentioned before, of what our friends will say, our circle. Again, you have to be willing to be who you are, come out of the closet, that space and not care about what the next person says. You have to because what makes me happy and my heart content may not be the same, for you. We talked about again the vanilla ice cream. You and Anae seem to be partial to vanilla just standing alone. And they said with nothing added.
Well, if I must, at one time I was a Briar's ice cream person.
Good God. That
Then
ain't even
one
ice
day I
cream.
met a gentleman in the airport, and I was talking about Briar's ice cream. He said, "Excuse me, have you ever tried Bluebell?" And I was like, "No, this is something like Briar's." And he was like, "I'm gonna give you my business card." It's like, "Okay." And now what I want you to do is I want you to go when you return home and buy, purchase some Bluebell. And if after you eat some Bluebell, you still feel as though Briars is the brand for you, give me a call, email me, and I'll send you, coupons or send you, cards where you can get all the Briars that you want, right? I tried Bluebell and I'm sorry, I've never went back.
See? See?
It's called,
See?
I know my sister was saying, her preference, but if you haven't had Bluebell homemade vanilla ice cream, okay,
But
I'm
you
just
see?
trying,
But that's no, that's the perfect example. It's a good example. And I'm just saying we're making it real practical, bottom of, we're not gonna be all fancy and deep and this and that. Something as simple as that. You became accustomed to one particular brand and swore that it was the greatest thing on earth because you had nothing else to compare it to. So it was a choice, but you couldn't really say it was your preference because you had no comparison. How many relationships or jobs or experiences have we walked away from, before even getting to experience them because we they said Bluebell is actually pretty good. Now, Briar's is another story for me. It is at the back of the line. See, look at that. See? See? It's preference over prejudice, people. Preference and prejudice. See what I'm saying? Now, I don't, well, I can't say I'm not a Briar's girl. I don't like it. I've tried it. So it's not a prejudice. I've tried it. I haven't tried Bluebell. I have done Haagen Dazs. But just as practical as this point is the same way we need to think about how we are making these choices in our lives. That if we have not tried something else outside of the first introduction to a thing that we have, how can we then say this is what we prefer? And we are limiting ourselves from experiences. It's okay to experience something and say, you know what? I don't really care for that. That's not for me. I'd rather not. But at least then you formulated your own opinion. And I try to be mindful, when I'm talking to my girls and someone will say, "Ooh, I like, red." And I'm like, "Ooh, child, no, not me. I don't know why you like red." You know, that's what she likes. And I'm like, okay, well, my preference is, I'm not a red girl, but I may like this because I've tried, and it's like, well, how do you know this color doesn't look good on you? If you've never bought anything with this, have you ever tried on a red blouse? We have to have that experience. Sometimes we're like, no, I never tried on the red blouse. And again, just I'm keeping it as basic and practical so that we can get the principle of it. But you say, no, I never tried on a red blouse, but I didn't because there was a girl in the store who was like about the same shade that I was. That she put it on, and I didn't like how it looked on her, so I know it's not going to look good on me. You don't know that. Everyone is different. What looks good on one may not look good on another. What you like, someone may dislike. But we cannot allow the prejudices of other people's experiences to create a prejudice in us that will block us from experiencing things so that we can develop a preference from a healthy place. You
well,
agree?
I had always said that I would, and don't everyone laugh, that I would never get on an airplane. Sorry. When I was younger, my choice was the Greyhound bus. I had a trunk, and I would, pack up my trunk and tell my parents I would see them later, and I'd get on the little bus, and it would take me where I wanted to go. Here comes airplanes, and I said, nope, never getting on an airplane. Very first trip was to Japan with my husband at the time and my two children, and I let him know before we got on that plane, you got the children. I'm gonna be holding on. You gotta make sure you take care of the children. Don't ask me for anything. I can't help you. I'm gonna be holding on for dear life. We made it there and back when it was time for us to come back. But I tell you, yes, that was the first. I would not be boarding an airplane. But thanks be to God, I've had that opportunity. But that was something else I had told myself I would never do, and I did it, survived it, and yes, I still am playing quite a bit right about now. But
Mm-hmm. Right now you
but
can't. Now you
that's
can't keep your
excuse
feet
me.
on the floor.
That's for another Thursday. Thank you, Susan. Me, Don.
My goodness, y'all pray for Michelle. Y'all, those who know the words of prayer, y'all pray for her. If you don't know them, just say it's just say a good word. Just say a good word of wishes. But no, seriously. But these are good points and practical principles. And the key of it is this: until we remove ourselves from our limitations, I will say, and begin to open ourselves up to other options and choices, we are always going to stay stuck. Thank you, Von Eric. He said he praying now. Please, please. And some of you, if you know the word to prayer and you're praying now, if you even want to fast, I'm gonna be like Ezekiel and turn my face to the wall. I'm sorry, y'all. I'm a Bible girl, so I'm gonna do for Michelle. But our point is that we have to mind the voices that we follow and really examine how much weight we allow them to have as we navigate our way through life and make our choices and decisions. Because again, until we have experienced those things, we are operating, or we can be, and this is not universal for everyone, this is general, but we're finding ourselves operating in a prejudice, which again is a preconceived opinion that is not based on reason or actual experience, our actual experience. Don't limit yourself to someone else's experience. Come out of your comfort zone, experience your own, have your own experience. And that way you can then determine whether this is really what you prefer or not. Everyone's capacity is different, everyone's taste is different. But we can open up so much more in our lives when we remove those limits off and really start to narrow down what is a learned behavior or prejudice versus what is our preference. So I want to thank you all for tuning in tonight. I hope this conversation was edifying and enjoyable. I promise you, we're about to ramp it up on Thursday nights. It's getting ready to get heavy. Once again, I promise you, you're not going to want to miss the things that are coming up. So I want to leave space for the ladies to have their final thoughts. I'm going to start with Pastor Rosa, Mama Rosa, and then we're going to go to Michelle, and then I'm going to come back with my final comments.
Well, it's been a pleasure as usual, and I wouldn't be myself if I didn't say what I really felt, and I feel like it's okay to try them flavors with some ice cream and stuff. Okay, but need to have set some boundaries, for human stuff. You might just have to love it, look at it from afar, you know. But I say this, I realized that in my life I did have prejudices. I did, in relationships. Um, and I guess that had a lot to do with how I was raised and the environment that I was raised in. And, because I was not the lighter shade, so I was not the number one choice. I was one, and I was maybe in the third, third or, the third choice, you know. And so growing up with that, you feel like, you want to reach out for the other side. And, after two marriages, um, to men that one, I don't know what color he was, both of them being a lighter shade than myself. And I really didn't have a preference to marrying a lighter man or whatever. It just ended up to be, that way, ironically, totally opposite of how, I grew up thinking. But I would say this, um, the third time when the right one comes along, my only prejudice that I have is that I would understand what my preferences are. I don't know. Someone said, what do you want?" I said, "I don't know, but I know what I don't want," which is what I had. I know I don't want that, you know. So I agree with you. We need to keep our mind open mind, because a lot of what we've been taught has been based on ignorance. So we do have to have an open mind. And no, I'm not. I like vanilla. I like vanilla, but I do like to put a little strawberry on there, you know. But I'm just saying, it's been a good evening. I've really enjoyed. It's been very enlightening, and we do have to know ourselves and what our preferences are, and we do have to make sure that you know whose voice is loudest in your decision making.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you for your shares, Mom. Uh, I'm laughing when they said, "Wait, say it ain't so. Say it ain't so." And they said about the speaking against. uh, Listen, we gonna start a petition with a vanilla ice cream cruise. What we gonna do? Yeah, man. That's what's gonna happen. But thank you for sharing, Mom. Michelle, share with us your final thoughts for tonight.
Yes, I agree with everything that was said. Again, it's about respect, knowing you, being comfortable with yourself, knowing, your preferences as well as your prejudice. But I also think that, as a parent, I think, again, that I never want to put myself on a pedal where my kids say, hey, my mother never did this, my mother never did that. But I know sometimes from my past experiences when I was younger and you did something, you would hear, didn't I tell you not to? Okay. Again, I don't want my children to experience something and when they come to me to talk about it, and the first thing they hear is, I told you not to do that, or didn't I tell you? Now today is, I told you not to, but back in the day, I was a little stronger. Didn't I tell you? So again, I want them to feel comfortable. Now they're grown now, so they feel as though, hey, I don't have to listen to her anymore. I'm grown. I'm grown now. So that's what, I'm sure Three Kings is saying, no, she didn't. But anyway, just just knowing who you are and your preferences and not allowing anyone else to get in your head. And I know gossip plays a big part. Girl, I heard girl, I heard they. No, Get to know that person. And if you're not willing to get to know that person, then hey, don't speak against that person. Don't downplay someone else's credibility based on what you heard. Get to know that person. Then that way you can speak on your experience with that person. So again,
Right.
great topic tonight. And yes, I'm going to uh, Mother Rosa, I'm going to need your Cash App information so I can send you some money so that you can go out and get you some blueberry. So I just need your Cash App information. As for you, Don, no, that's on another Thursday. But just text me your Cash App information, and we'll make sure you get some Bluebell ice cream.
She can't bring no bluebell in my house unless I experience it myself. Thank you, ma'am. Okay, we do security checks here. I want to thank you, Michelle and Mama Pastor Rosa, for just sharing in this conversation with me, with us on tonight. As always, Bravo Nation. It is such a joy and a pleasure. Thank you for spending these 60 minutes along with me. My final thoughts and remarks are basically this. Um, Although we're using ice cream as a symbolism, so to speak. Um, of things in your life. But we have to really consider our experiences. And yes, people are going to share what their experience is. And it's not that we should toss it out of the window, but we should listen to it for a point, I would say, of education and information and take it in, but turn it into something, take from it what you need and leave the rest. Don't let anybody else's experience be the end all be all of you making your choice. Learn to listen to your own voice. Learn to be confident in you knowing what is best for you, because everyone's experience is the same. I'm sorry, it's not the same. We all get different things out of a situation because we all go into a situation with different needs. So just take a moment sometimes. If you find that you're in a stuck place, consider removing or just going through that mental place of removing the developed prejudices that we have acquired so that you can experience life and find what your preference really is. Don't live a limited life, because life is meant to be experienced. And the only way you're going to experience it is when we begin to take the limits off and we begin to experience it for ourselves outside of fear and that comfort zone. Break down your prejudices, try something, find your preference. And those are my final thoughts for tonight. Again, I want to thank you all for joining on tonight. It's always a pleasure being your Thursday night host here. I really, really, and they said this really was good as Haagen-Dazs vanilla bean is. She said, I'm open to putting some fruit on it sometimes. See, we already got, see, she took the words tonight. She's already putting it into practice. And we gonna start a GoFundMe, okay? And we gonna get you some vanilla Haagen-Dazs with top. Vanilla was made for toppings, y'all. I'm trying to tell you, it's made for toppings. I'm just saying. Yes, child, put some fruit on top of that. And don't stop with the ice cream. Go into life. Go get what you want. Break out. If you could put some.
Don,
Yes, ma'am.
Don,
I'm trying to encourage you. Look, she
Don,
already open. She's already
excuse
open.
me.
She's ready.
Excuse me, Don.
Yes.
Mother Rosa, don't forget, I need your Cash App information. And Don, I'm going to have a sidebar with you about those coverings on that vanilla ice cream.
I'm sorry. Listen, child. I'm saying, bless yourself. Bless yourself with some toppings on the vanilla. Now I'm saying you don't know you like it if you don't try it. She says she looks like I'm ready for marriage. Oh, I want to be the flower girl. Come on now. And they gonna shake her. If she could shake her prejudice off of the vanilla ice cream, she could shake it off for the rest of her life. Von Erich said, "Hold up now," and they said she trying something new on her ice cream, and that this is the beginning. And tomorrow she gonna try something new in her life. That's right, girl. Go completely opposite. I'm not mad at you. See, you see how practical principles make a difference in people's lives. It's always a joy, you guys. I absolutely love being here. Thank you for partnering with us, for being a part of the Bravo Nation, for always showing up and having this conversation with us. I want to invite you back as always next Thursday. We will be right back here at 7 p.m. p.m. And we'll be talking about family ties. Is that what really binds us together? We're going to talk about relationships. Is what keeps us together the fact that we family, or is it the fact that we have relationship and rapport with one another? Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. And I want you to keep your calendars open, because I promise you it's getting ready to ramp up. It's getting ready to get a little hot and heavy. We getting ready to bring the ladies back for the ladies' room. It is going to be on and popping. I promise you. I am bringing in my good friend, Lady Deshawn. I'm bringing in my good friend, Dr. N.D. Brown. We're going to keep it raw, real. You know how you used to go out and you go to the ladies' room. You don't go alone. You go with somebody. And when you get in there, y'all help fix each other up. You know, we fix the things that's, you might need to freshen up a little bit. That's what we're going to do in the ladies' room. We're going to talk about some things that go down that we need to tighten up on. And then we're going to get the men's lounge coming. But my goodness, y'all don't want to miss that. We're going to yield the floor to the men. And we're going to let them have the mic and let them have their way and talk about it. Huh? Right. And no, Michelle will not be co-hosting that day. Michelle's going to be in the green room waiting with the rest of the crew.
I'm going to open the show up. Yes, I'm excited about it.
From the backstage. The only estrogen that's going to be on the platform that night is going to be me. That's it. There's no other estrogen allowed. Myself and Pastor Sheila. That's all. Men, don't worry. I will be security that night. You're going to be in a safe space where you can talk and share freely. Don't you worry. So, again, as always, thank you, Bravo Nation. I love you. I thank you for spending these 60 minutes with me. And again, join me next Thursday right here at 7 p.m. We're going to have another great conversation. Going to bring in some more of my friends in. We are about to kick it up to a whole nother level. We're about to put the heat back in. You know, we've been sailing a little mildly lately, but that's all right. Trust me. Fall is here, winter's coming, and we're going to need the heat to keep us. So it's going to be right here. Make sure you tune in, and make sure you tune in on Tuesday nights. Like, subscribe, and share, because the Queen of Bravo herself is on here dropping some nuggets. If you missed it last night, she had the relationship coach, Steve Reggie, one of my favorite people in the universe. So much knowledge, so much information to share. And when the two of them get together, listen, your whole life changes, I promise you. So if you weren't on, catch the replay. If you were on, catch the replay. But make sure that you like, subscribe, and share so that you don't miss a thing. And lastly, I will say this as we exit on tonight. Bravo Nation, learn to love everything about you, and then teach the world how to go do the same. Be encouraged and go be great. Love y'all. Have a good night.